Okay, so we may have rode the semi-independent suspension buggy a wee bit too hard. Like we normally do. I can't tell you how many axles we've bent doing this because like I said, go-karts, these 1-inch axles wasn't made for what we're doing, which is romping pretty hard. When Brandon went up, of course, that's what bent it, because when the tire hit, you can see that it put a hurting on it. So what we're going to do is Tim at Go Power Sports really wants me to test out this torque converter to make sure everything's right with it, because he doesn't want to put a part on the market that isn't ready to be. They want to make sure the springs and all that jazz is good. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a new axle on this really fast, and we're going to build some little ears that sit right behind the wheel hub. So now we got to jack this thing up, put it on jack stands, pull the wheels, tires, axles, chain, all that jazz up, and we can tension up that chain and make sure we get that engine aligned, because we did kick the chain a couple times. So let's get this started, because it's about to rain, and I think it'd be pretty fun to go play on this thing in the rain. So let's do it. So you see me pull the axle off, I put a new one on, and I added these outer bearings. So now the wheel hub puts directly against a bearing, so there shouldn't be any weak spots. We're not going to jump it this time or do anything stupid. We're just going to test this torque converter. So now I'm going to put the wheels back on it, slap the chain on. I got to re-tension the chain. I'm hoping I can take a full another link out. I'm pretty sure I can. And that'll get the engine a little bit more further forward. We do need to move these shocks on up. I'm going to go about 4 inches further up with them later. I'm not worried about it right now, but it does ride a little stiffer than I would like. So let's put these wheels on, and I'll throw a GoPro on, and we'll go rip.
What do you think top speed is?
Probably like 40.
I'm gonna guess 42. I bet it'll be 41.
Behind door number 1. Behind door number 1 is a grand piano from Keystrokers makes the finest pianos in all of Wichita. Guess the price and you win it. $42. Really? It's a piano. Turn it on? Yeah.
think I ruin everything. White people, I swear.
Alright, so Lonnie's gonna take this Blue Demon out for a top speed run. We had to do a couple modifications. So we put this brace right here on and one on the other side. Because I used 14 gauge steel, shouldn't have, but is what I had in stock. So next time we'll use 1/8 inch steel because the engine was flexing that engine plate. So it would make the chain loosen and kick the chain when you went around the curb under load. So got that problem fixed. Now Lonnie's gonna go rip it, see what top speed run is. Trying to test the torque converter so Go Power Sports can finally put them up for sale, but we're just making sure the chain problem's fixed because it's going to suck to get out in the woods and kick a chain and have to fix that out in the woods. It always does, but it seemed to fix it, and the thing runs like probably 40 miles an hour. And what we can do is get the Deuce out and show that leaf in what a real engine's like.
So I guess 42, but that was downhill. We're gonna redo it on flat ground. So, what do you think it did?
Oh, top speed? 40.
We were right in between 41. I said 42, you said 40. And I said it'll probably be 41 now. It was. You think it'll beat us with both of us on here?
So we raced him with both of us in this, and he started before us, but we just
And we were in the grass.
yeah.
2 disadvantages.
3. 2 people. Hammer in the grass. You look at your pumpkin haircut freak.
I seen it in the rearview mirror of that.
It's like, shut up. So it kicked the chain again. We don't know why. runs all right. Yeah, pull it up here on the other side of my truck. You know, I think one reason is the chain's so long, and it's just 420 chain. I think that's one reason it's kicking it. It's just stretching it, or not stretching it, it's just, let me see how much it stretches.
It's still tight. I felt it when I put it back on. It's not bad. I mean, it's
yeah,
tight.
that's good. I mean, to me, that thing looks as lined up as you can be, pretty much. So it's.
I think it's a combination of weak chain and the distance between sprockets.
Yeah, because on that size chain, if you know the smallest little bit you get off, so if that engine riser is still flexing a little bit, it's still going to allow it to kick. You know, if it's just flexing at least a little bit, it's definitely better.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So we know it's a flex problem of that engine riser. I'll never build one out 14 gauge again. Like I said, it's just what I had.
And like I said, in the grass it was fine. As soon as I hit the concrete and it
really
hooked,
got
it popped.
That makes sense because that's under the most load that engine's ever going to be under.
Yeah.
Okay, so after looking at this go-kart a lot, it kept kicking the chain. It seemed like we would get the chain perfectly aligned. We would rip it around the yard a couple times, and always around a hard curve it would kick the chain. So I kept thinking the engine plate was flexing, like I was talking about in today's video. But that seems strange because 14 gauge steel, although it's a little on the thinner side, the way I built this engine riser, it should be completely strong enough to handle what we're doing with it. So I end up bracing it with those 2 braces on each side, and still it would kick the chain only under a really hard turn. So this was driving me crazy, you know, because I was like, the only other thing it could be is maybe my engine plate isn't properly straight, which it should be. We crazy measured this thing when we built it, and with that Sigmund weld table, it's super easy. That thing makes building stuff like this a dream. It just blew my mind. I knew this whole engine section should be strong. I finally figured out what is happening. Because we adapted this whole back section on an existing go-kart, we wanted to try it with this frame because this frame was setting out back and we didn't have any plans for it. So I thought this would be the perfect platform to try out the semi-independent suspension on. Well, since we had to adapt it to this frame, the narrow frame that we had to work with to make the hoop around the engine to house the shocks and stuff, and the panhard bar in the back, end up becoming our problem. It's actually, the torque converter is hitting the frame when you flex the suspension out, which I was actually worried about that, but we never seen any indication that it was happening until I reached up under and felt the tubing, and I could feel where it's like notched up from the torque converter bolts. So what I believe is happening, I'm almost positive what is happening, we'll get the chain tensioned up and lined up really good. We'll ride around the yard, and when we turn it and the suspension flexes up on the left-hand side, when you're looking at the back of the go-kart, the left-hand side, that torque converter is actually hitting the frame. And of course, those bolts are grabbing that metal and it's yanking the engine. And no matter how tight you get the engine, you're not going to keep from yanking that engine around. So what we have to do is we have to notch the frame to make room for that pulley to be able to flex. So I think I have a fix in mind. We're going to bend up some metal today, cut it out, and fix this problem. You'll see on next week's video. We should have this problem resolved, and we can fully test this this torque converter for Go Power Sports. We're really wanting to get this torque converter on the market, so we want to do everything we can to help them out because, of course, you know them. They've did, you know, crazy amount of stuff for us, so this is the least we can do for them. So stay tuned to next week. We'll be cutting this frame. We'll be bending a U, basically like a 90, to weld in there, and we'll make it look as nice as possible. We only need a couple inches to make it clear. But that's our whole problem. It sucks that we had to find it out this way. I was scared of this problem when we built this rear section because of how narrow the frame was on the go-kart and how we had to bend this up. This was just how it had to be. If we was to put a 420 or a 40 series torque converter on it, we would clear find that. 780 is a lot larger, but we don't want to do that. We want to be sure we're handling all the power we can put out with this leaf end engine. So stay tuned to next week's video, guys. I hope you liked today's video. I thought it was a pretty fun little video. You can see how that Performance 670 really rips against something like this leaf end. It's night and day difference, and we still have 10 to 15 horsepower of parts sitting over here, not counting a turbo. We're putting on one. So stay tuned. We got some awesome builds coming up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you have not, so you're notified when we put out a new video. Make sure to go use our discount code REDBEARD on GoPowersports.com. And thank you guys for everybody that came out to the meetup. Thank you for 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this career and to be able to, you know, trial and error parts for you guys. We love you, and God bless.